Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Zach Chat. My name's Zach Ballard. Today we're going to be jumping back into my preseason predictions for all of the Power 5 conference championship games in college football. These videos are going to drop every Monday at noon, so tune in to see if your team's going to make the championship game. This week we're going to cover the Big 12. The Big 12 was founded in 1998. Bob Stoops was hired in 1999. Since then, the Big 12 championship game has really been Oklahoma and whoever else they're going to play. Back then, Big 12 was split into two divisions. You had the North representative, and you had Oklahoma or Texas sometimes representing the South. Since 1998, there's been 22 Big 12 championship games. OU's won 14 of them. Next closest is Texas at 3. So it's really been complete dominance by Oklahoma in the Big 12. And the last stretch of 6-7 years hasn't been any difference. Oklahoma has won 6 straight Big 12 titles. So when you take a look at that, when you're predicting who's going to be in the conference championship game, it's pretty simple. OU's going to be there, but who are they going to be playing? When you look at the Big 12 this season, to me, it looks like another very top-heavy season. You've got teams like Texas. They're starting over. New head coach, Steve Sarkisian, was great at Alabama as an offensive coordinator. Didn't do so great at USC as a head coach. We'll see how he handles the pressure at Texas. He's going to have a new starting quarterback. It's not going to be Sam Ehlinger anymore. He's been the quarterback since 2017. You also look at teams like Oklahoma State, who usually challenge for a Big 12 title. They're going to lose a lot of explosive offensive talent. They lose Tylan Wallace. They lose Chuba Hubbard. They do return Spencer Sanders, but I think you're actually looking at a quarterback battle in Stillwater this offseason between Shane Illingworth and Spencer Sanders, because Sanders hasn't been able to really get it going after a lot of hype was surrounded with him heading into this past season. So when you look ahead to 2021, I have to think you're looking at a rematch of the 2020 Big 12 championship game between Oklahoma and Iowa State. Last year, Iowa State beat Oklahoma in the regular season. Then Oklahoma won off 8 straight games, headed into the Big 12 title game against Iowa State, both in the top 10. Beats Iowa State, heads on to the Cotton Bowl, beats Florida. Iowa State heads into the Fiesta Bowl, beats Oregon, both end the season on a high note. I just see, when you look at the returning talent for those two teams, Oklahoma is going to return 14 starters. Iowa State's going to return 16, 17 starters, including the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year in Breece Hall, their quarterback, Brock Purdy, who will be in his 3rd year as a starter, and the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year in Mike Rose. So when you have potential like that and production like that coming back, you have a lot of leadership, you have a lot of experience. It's easy to imagine both those teams winning games that they're supposed to win and even closing out tight games when, it might get a little iffy here and there. When I look at that matchup again, I see it going very similar to the second game last year or the Big 12 championship game last year. I just think OU's talent is going to be too overwhelming for a team like Iowa State. They're well coached. Matt Campbell's a great coach. He lost his cool a little bit in the Big 12 championship game, but it's a high-stakes game. It was the first time he'd been there. I can understand that. I just think the experience of winning 6 straight Big 12 titles, there are some guys on that Oklahoma team that are going to be playing for their 5th ring in a Big 12 championship. I mean, how do you top that experience for a team like Iowa State who will be playing for their 2nd championship in, the last 100 years? So I definitely have Oklahoma winning their 7th straight Big 12 title. Heading into that game, they actually meet 2 weeks prior to the Big 12 championship game, the second to last game of the season. Iowa State's going to travel to Norman, where they won in 2017. So it's not going to be a lock, but I actually think there's a great potential that both those teams will be 10-0 heading into that game. You're looking at a potential college game day game. You're looking at potentially 2 top 5 teams, maybe top 4. So I think Iowa State's going to win all their games, including their game against Iowa. That's a game I think they need to win this year to kind of establish that they're one of the better teams in college football. If they want to prove that they are, they have to beat Iowa. And I think they're going to head into Norman 10-0 with a lot of pressure on their shoulders, and it's going to be too overwhelming. I think Oklahoma takes the first game, and then I think 2 weeks later they beat them in a rematch in the Big 12 championship game, and Oklahoma will improve to 13-0 and head off to the college football playoff. Where they'll be ranked will depend on how things shake up in the other conferences, but I do think Oklahoma, after not making it last year, will make it back to the college football playoff and will be potentially a number 1, number 2 seed in the college football playoff. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in for another episode of Zach Chat. My name is Zach Ballard. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button at the bottom of the page, and thanks for watching.